If you've ever called an ambulance for a loved one, you'll know all too well how excruciating it is to wait for help to arrive. Minutes feel like hours. And with South Africa's current response times not where they should be, the wait can also be detrimental to the person in need of assistance. Now, the Gauteng Department of Health reports that the current average response time for an ambulance in Gauteng ranges from 30 to 60 minutes, well short of the international standard of 7 minutes for life-threatening calls. Now, Aura, the powered emergency response service, has come up with an app to improve emergency response times for all and streamline the process of getting help. Now, to share more on this app, we're joined in studio by Jade Pfohl, a supply operations manager at Aura Medical. Jade, a very good morning to you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning.
I mean, talk to us about this app. What is it about?
So Aura is a marketplace that allows anyone assistance or access to emergency response services, be that medical or security, anytime, anywhere, using a connected device. So it's embedded into the phones. It's an app that people would download that's linked with various partners that we've paired up with, businesses. And in the event of an emergency, they would push their panic and we would be able to geolocate either the closest ambulance or the closest armed response officer and get it to them straight away.
Speak to us about those partners and getting them to buy into this.
So on the EMS side, it's additional revenue streams for them. You know, it's patients that they would not normally have had access to. We can now streamline and push that revenue through to them. And I suppose the benefit of EMS is that we're all in it because we want to save lives and we want to help. So if you go to a good EMS company and say, here's an opportunity to make a difference, most of them are more than happy to assist.
Yeah. Okay, I want to talk about, so I download this app. What does it look like? You know, where do I register? Tell me all those things.
There's various apps through our different partners. So if you're a client with FNB, Momentum, Vodacom, Outsurance, Zoe Health, there's multiple apps that we power our service through. So any one of those, you can also go onto our website, www.aura.services, and see who else we partnered with. But go onto their apps and have a look for the response service and download it. You can have access within 2 minutes.
And I believe you're only working with private ambulances only. How does that work?
So we've partnered with the private ambulances. We built a network throughout the country of private ambulances, and they would then respond to our calls. So if you've got the application through one of our partnering businesses, it doesn't matter whether you have medical aid or not, we'll still send a private ambulance for you, which I think it's critical because that care in the moments after an incident are the most important.
And, you know, typically how long will it then take for the service providers to respond to an emergency?
So with our technology, we've managed to really improve our average response times. Just the other day, we had one of our users who pushed the panic for a colleague of his who'd been shot in the stomach, and we managed to get an ambulance to him in, I believe it was 5 minutes and 34 seconds, and that resulted in a saved life that day. So depending on where the people are, you know, outlying areas, it can be a bit more of a challenge, but we aim for at least 15 minutes, which is very, very high standards.
And having launched the app, what are some of the improvement areas that you think you should be focusing on, and what has been the response to the app?
I think it's been very well received. I think one of the problems we have as people is we don't know who to phone when we have an emergency. You know, some people are quite organized and they've got a notice on the fridge, or they've got a really good health and safety officer that might have that access. But if you're away at a conference or on business and you're in a different part of town, you're not going to know who to call. So just the fact that it cuts out that process of what to do in a panic, just push the button and we'll figure out the rest for you.
So you don't need to register on the app or anything?
You do. You register with whoever. If you're with FNB, you would register through them.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And what's nice about that is we will also request, you know, your name, your if you have medical aid, what's the policy? Do you have any underlying conditions that we need to be made aware of, so that we also don't have to sit on the phone for 5 minutes adding to that response time, trying to gather that information. So that's automatically on your profile. So when you panic, that gets fed straight through to the EMS response officer.
And which areas are you seeing more response to the app?
So What, as far as how many call
Yeah,
outs we
like
would
which
get?
areas are you seeing? Maybe mostly people, because Johannesburg then is maybe central to everything, or Gauteng, you know what I mean? What's your biggest response areas?
So definitely the Gauteng province, followed by the Western Cape and then KZN. Interestingly enough, the Pretoria region for us is the most busy as far as medical panics go, but also areas that are well covered, and we have wonderful responders in those areas. So.
And how easy is it to use?
Easy. I think even children would be able to just, if you guided them and say push this button if you ever need help, they would 100% be able to manage it.
Right. And how important was it that, one of the main things about it was to keep it as simple as possible?
Look, when you're under pressure, you can't be scrambling for information and trying to connect the dots and typing and searching. It needs to be an instant one press and help is on the way. We need to simplify it as much as possible if we're going to make an impact.
What other services does Aura also offer?
We do also, other than the EMS, we do have the armed response as well. So for hijackings, home invasions, domestic abuse cases, so we'll also send armed response, private armed response for that. Sometimes we'll send both. We might have an instance where it was an assault that requires medical, so we would link the two services together.
And what's been the response since you started? So you're into this emergency and security space. What are you seeing that people are responding a lot more to?
I think that we've made a big difference as far as our response times go. Taking the network of responders, putting them all together and aggregating that has made a huge impact on how fast we can actually get to people, and those seconds really do count.
All right. Thank you so much. Yes, I think one of your colleagues was here as well to speak about the emergency one, the security one.
Yes, that was our CEO.
Yeah, all right. So thank you so much. Good job that you guys are doing there at Aura. Jade Pfohl is Supply Operations Manager at Aura Medical, and it is emergency response service that has come up. They've come up with an app to improve emergency response times, and we were in conversation, as I said, with Jade Pfohl. She's the Supply Operations Manager at Aura Medical.